Good evening and welcome. Congratulations on your hard work, on dedicating your time and energy to bettering others. The students in this room have tutored children, fundraised, and volunteered time at free health clinics, nursing homes, and shelters. Our motivations are as diverse as our interests, but on some level, we all do what we do to make a difference. I stand here humbled by your dedication and passion, but intent on declaring, this is not good enough. As long as we continue to merely volunteer, as long as our work is not systemic, our efforts are hopelessly ephemeral. For every child we teach to read, more worldwide, mostly girls, are denied access to any education at all. For every patient we see at a health fair, never to see again, another one watches their healthcare system crumble around them. For every shelter we fundraise for, another turns someone away because their beds are full. Such feel-good, short-term work is hardly better than rearranging deck chairs on a sinking ship. Dirty words have flowed easily from the lips of the status quo when they hear such utterances, thrown at me unthinkingly like $1 to the homeless, from the banal idealist to the certifiably ostracizing radical. The name-calling may evolve, but the fact remains that the mainstream has good reason to fear the radical. Radicalism, sincere, righteous, unquenchable radical action, creates change. Often, it is the only thing that has. A radical, from botany, refers to something that arises from the root. Radicals posit that our societal structures are fundamentally flawed, irreparably fractured, and as such, believe the only solution in an uprooting of the entire system. I am unashamed to stand before you today and declare, I am a radical. Nevertheless, I do not think it a fanatical idea to unabashedly proclaim that our system is worse than broken. Our system is wrong. A system where nearly 50 million Americans, the entire West Coast, go uninsured is not just. A system in which the majority of the world lives on less than $2 a day, stricken disproportionately by hunger and disease, lacking education or peace, is not just. A system that allows violence to be perpetrated upon entire groups because of whom they choose to call God, or whom they choose to love, or because of the color of their skin, is not just. In fact, we, all of us, have a responsibility, an obligation to deconstruct, to tear down this inequitable system and build anew. To echo the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., the greatest tragedy of this period is not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. Where will you stand when our children look back at this era in wonderment at how we let such injustice fester? When future generations ask us, what did you do to end the system that allowed the scourge of sexism, of racism, of violence, of hunger, of poverty to thrive? What did you do? Will we have an answer nobler than averting our eyes? Simplistically, there are two types of activists. The first group has given birth to every modern social movement in history. They participate as agents of social justice, not because it feels good, not even because it seems like the right thing to do. No, these activists do what they do to survive. From slaves rising up against their oppressors, to women fighting for enfranchisement, to laborers throwing the exploitative industrial system off their backs, to gay men marching the streets when AIDS was killing entire neighborhoods and their president stood by, silent. The first activists espoused direct action because it was the only way to evade death, murder even. Most of us in this room, however, have the luxury of walking away from a movement if it becomes too inconvenient, if an exam is coming up, or if we have loans to pay off. We will survive regardless. Why? Because most of us in this room, we have power. We are highly educated young Americans. We are more privileged than 99% of the rest of the world. We can be at peace knowing that if we don't feel like marching or lobbying or writing or organizing today, the sun will still shine on us tomorrow. You may not believe, as I believe, that radical direct action on the streets, in the shadows of the institutions that decide who wins and who loses, is the best use of your time. But you, unlike those who are denied any voice within the power structure, have the luxury of choosing how you want to fight your battles. You do not have to join me outside the establishment, but I expect to be by your side inside, speaking truth to power. While the voiceless chip away at the edifice of an unjust society, we must use our power to demolish the system from within. If you do not want to stand in solidarity with a picket sign proclaiming the rights of all humans, regardless of citizenship, do the movement justice and use your power to make the change that our comrades are demanding. They are demanding change of us, and change we must. Friends, we must not only change ourselves, but the system that gives us power and denies it to our fellow people. From within or from without, we must tirelessly struggle for a world in which the freedoms afforded dissidents match that of conformists. A world where no one is trampled by the iron feet of oppression. Such freedom is never given. It must be demanded, fought for. From within or from without, we must demand, we must fight, undeterred by naysayers and cynics masquerading as realists. We must realize, as the Reverend King did, that true compassion is more than flinging a coin to a beggar. It is coming to see that an edifice which produces beggars needs restructuring. From within or from without, we must join together in solidarity. On the streets or in the halls of power, I must know that I will meet you in the search for a brighter day. Thank you.